It's time to call the Hogs. Arkansas is coming off their best season since 2011, and they're poised to be even better in 2022. So you better watch out, because Sam Pittman's wild band of Razorbacks is set to shock the nation. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, ready to break down, predict, and analyze the Arkansas Razorbacks schedule and record for this upcoming college football season. One that is generating a lot of excitement up in Fayetteville. Arkansas, guys, years and years of misery. The last year of the Brett Bielema era, the 2 years under Chad Morris, in comes Sam Pittman, and in 2 years has completely changed this program, going 9-4 in 2021 with an Outback Bowl victory over Penn State and winning every single one of the team's rivalry games against Texas, Texas A&M, LSU, and Missouri. You take a look at Arkansas, guys. They returned 64% of their production from last year. That's 69th in the nation. When you look at what they bring back on offense, they could have one of the better units within the entire conference. KJ Jefferson returns as one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. We have him ranked in our top 3 after throwing for over 2,600 yards and 21 touchdowns with just 4 interceptions, and also leading the team with over 600 rushing yards. But when you look at the ground game for Arkansas, they're loaded. Dominic Johnson, Raheem Sanders, and A.J. Green lead a trio of backs that could beat you every single day. They can definitely do that with one of the better offensive lines within the SEC as well. Arkansas, guys, was 7th in the country last year, averaging over 225 rushing yards per game. Yes, they do lose Treylon Burks. Everybody wants to freak out about that. The wide receiver core will be fine. Jadon Haselwood transfers in from Oklahoma. Trey Knox putting on some weight, doing very well at tight end. Razorbacks will be fine there, but again, this is going to be a team that wants to run the ball with their running backs and KJ Jefferson. When you take a look at the defense, a unit that ranked 50th last year and one that is loaded with transfers, it's going to be a matter of how quickly they can gel. Bumper Pool is back at linebacker, kind of the anchor of this defense. Jalen Catalon returns in the secondary, back from an injury from last year. They also added Drew Sanders, the linebacker from Alabama. They added Dwight McGlothern from LSU to help in that secondary, along with Latavious Brini, who transferred in from Georgia, also in the secondary. Sam Pittman has done a phenomenal job recruiting, bringing in the transfers, and to do things the Arkansas way. It's just a matter of whether or not all these pieces can come together for an even special season in 2022. You take a look at Arkansas' schedule, guys. It is tough. Always is for Arkansas, right? Always one of the toughest schedules in the country. But every single opponent on Arkansas' schedule made the postseason last year. It's one of the few teams in the entire nation that have to do that. Every single team that they face made the postseason. Arkansas kicks off the year with a game against a playoff team. Last year, Cincinnati made the College Football Playoff, the first Group of 5 team to ever do so, and that's who Arkansas opens up the year with. So we're going to have a top 20 showdown in Fayetteville between the Razorbacks and the Bearcats. But I'll tell you right now that I think Arkansas wins this game, because this is not the same Cincinnati team from last year. They lose Desmond Ridder. They lose Jerome Ford. They lose their top 2 cornerbacks and Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant. I think this game is going to be close. First game of the year, teams will start slow, and the Razorbacks will start slow. But in the end, they will end up winning this game over a top 25 opponent in Cincinnati to give this team a lot of momentum heading into conference play when they take on South Carolina. This game is going to be a lot of fun. These two teams have not met since 2017, an early season SEC game. Arkansas typically does not start conference play till week 4, week 5. But they get South Carolina in week 2 in Fayetteville. We know South Carolina is going to be improved. Last year they won 7 games. Could be even better this year, mainly because of the addition of Spencer Rattler. The Gamecocks finally have a stable and consistent play at quarterback. But can Rattler do everything for South Carolina? The answer is no. When you look at the Gamecocks, they were 94th nationally versus the run last year. While their secondary is going to be very, very strong and very underrated, I don't know about that front 7 being able to stop this trio of running backs for Arkansas and KJ Jefferson's dual threat ability as well. Arkansas last year in week 2 dominated Texas on the ground. Yes, I know it doesn't, not the same team. Week 2 doesn't mean anything, but last year in week 2 dominated Texas on the ground. In the same week 2, I believe they dominate South Carolina on the ground. The Razorbacks are 2-0, definitely in the top 15 if they weren't already. We think they beat Missouri State, but this game will be interesting. Why? Not only because Missouri State is one of the better FCS teams in the country, but because the Missouri State head coach is Bobby Petrino. And Bobby Petrino was the Razorbacks head coach from 2008 to 2011, which means, yes, prior to last year, the best season the Razorbacks had was under Bobby Petrino in 2011 when they won 11 games and the Cotton Bowl and were one win away from playing in the national championship. So that'll be a fun storyline there. Petrino coming back to Fayetteville, but Arkansas should win that game comfortably. 3-0, then they take on Texas A&M. Last year, the Razorbacks beat the Aggies 20-10, their first win over the Aggies since 2011. First time since A&M has joined the SEC. But I'm going to give Arkansas the win over A&M again. I think the Razorbacks broke the curse, and last year they realized we can win. They've come so close. They were so close under Bielema, close a couple times under Chad Morris, never could do it. They finally broke that losing streak that hit Texas A&M, and I believe that gives them the confidence to do it again. Factor in also that Arkansas owns the edge at quarterback. They own the edge at running back. They own the edge on the offensive line. Defensively, I'd say these two teams are about even. I think Arkansas owns the edge in the secondary. A&M owns the edge up front. But Arkansas's offensive line can handle the Aggies' pass rush, and I feel very confident in saying that. So Arkansas will take down Texas A&M, an unpopular opinion for many, but that's how good I believe the Razorbacks genuinely are. They beat down Texas A&M. They come home and take on Alabama. And if you all Arkansas fans out there, you know how big this game is. If the Razorbacks come into this game at 4-0, we expect Alabama to be the same. College Game Day very well could be making their appearance in Fayetteville for the first time since 2006. That was the last time that Arkansas beat Alabama, was that 2006 season with Darren McFadden. So this is a huge, huge game, guys, not because of the potential stakes for not just a national stage, but maybe the SEC West title, but also when you look at how good Arkansas played Bama last year. Arkansas only fell to Alabama 42-35 in Tuscaloosa last year, which means the Razorbacks last year showed that they could hang with the Tide. In years past, they couldn't. They showed they could now. This Arkansas team has the chance to be even better than they were last year, which means this game at home with home field advantage, with the stakes as high as they are, with potentially College Game Day in town, Fayetteville will be rocking maybe one of the biggest games in Arkansas football history. But unfortunately, guys, I do believe the Razorbacks are handed their first loss. I do believe they fall to Alabama. Again, they have not beaten the Crimson Tide since 2006. I expect this game to be very, very close, but just like Arkansas, Alabama is going to be even better than they were last year. And that's a very scary thing to say considering they were the national runner-up. In a very close game, Arkansas falls to Alabama for their first loss, 4-1, but they bounce back with a win against Mississippi State, a team they typically fare well against under Sam Pittman. They've won the two straight under Pittman. 2 years he's been there. They beat Mississippi State both times. And Barry Odom, their defensive coordinator, typically fares well against the air raid. He usually has a pretty solid game plan, and the Razorback secondary, I believe, will be very, very strong. So they take down the Bulldogs on the road, but then fall to BYU. And if you're an Arkansas fan and you have followed the Razorbacks for a while, you know there's always that one game where the Razorbacks slip up, right? And this just feels like a game where Arkansas probably should win, but they're not. They've gone through a rigid, rough schedule all the way to October 15th. They're now having to take a break from conference play to go out west to Provo against a good BYU team. Good BYU team, solid offensively, a lot of size, a lot of depth, especially in the trenches. To me, this just feels like a major, major trap game for Arkansas and one that I think comes down to the wire, but they ultimately lose. It's one of those games where I think a lot of people will be picking the Razorbacks and they slip up in a bit of a disappointment. So the Razorbacks fall to BYU here, guys. Again, a team that's very solid up front, one that quarterback play, I'd say it's about even alongside KJ Jefferson. The Razorbacks might have more speed, maybe have a little bit more size, but BYU with that home field advantage. Provo, not easy. I believe the Razorbacks fall. They are now a 2-loss team heading into their bye week before they take on Auburn. And here's the thing. On paper, Arkansas is the better team here. No doubt about it. Arkansas is by far the better team than Auburn. But there's something about Jordan-Hare Stadium that gives the Razorbacks trouble. Arkansas has not defeated Auburn since 2015. They have not won at Auburn since 2012. Last year, the Razorbacks should have gotten their revenge. If they wanted revenge over Auburn for what happened back in 2020, the backward spike, which was definitely a fumble, if they wanted that, they should have gotten it last year. But instead, the Razorbacks laid an egg. Lost 38-23 at home. Couldn't convert on 3rd and 4th down. Couldn't stop Auburn for anything. I don't think they're going to be able to do it now. Yes, they got a week of rest, but I don't think they're able to do it now. They fall to Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium. A little bit of bad mojo there for about the last decade. The Razorbacks fall for their 3rd loss, but then the month of November is pretty favorable. We'll go through it kind of quick. We think they defeat Liberty, They get to face off against Hugh Freeze, the former Ole Miss coach. So a little familiarity there, but Liberty, without Malik Willis, I think will struggle a little bit. Still a bowl team, but not enough to beat Arkansas on the road. Razorbacks win that game, and then they get LSU and Ole Miss back-to-back games at home, and I think the Razorbacks win both. I think they beat both LSU and Ole Miss. They beat LSU last year in Death Valley, 16-13 in overtime, their first victory against LSU since 2015. The Tigers guys have quarterback questions right now. Their secondary is pretty questionable. It's going to be an interesting matchup there because Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché, both big-time starters last year for the Razorbacks, transferred to LSU, now with Brian Kelly. So a bit of an emotional game for the Hogs and those two players. But in Fayetteville against an LSU team that has lots of questions, dealing with a new coach, I like the Hogs. If you can win in Death Valley at night last year, you can win in Fayetteville this year. So they take down LSU and they take down Ole Miss, a team Arkansas probably should have beat last year. There were a couple instances where Arkansas had a chance to pull away in that game, but they ended up falling 52-51. Their two-point conversion with no time left, falling short, incomplete pass, and Ole Miss escaped with a victory. One of the best games of the year. If you love offense, it was the game for you, and if you love offense, this will be the game for you again. But Arkansas will win this game. Barry Odom's defense will step up. Ole Miss dealing with a lot of new pieces. No Matt Corral. A couple of receivers they've lost. A couple of questions in the linebacking core. A lot of questions for Ole Miss this year where I think that back half of the schedule is going to wear them down. Arkansas, especially on senior night of all nights, will take down Ole Miss. Again, I think they should have won it last year personally. They'll definitely get their revenge this year. And then they take down Missouri. They beat Missouri for the first time since 2015 last year. It was senior night for the Hogs, but they beat them 34-17, and the Tigers guys aren't going to be much of anything in 2022. Even though the game is on the road, senior night from Missouri, I do not have faith in Eli Drinkwitz. I do not have faith in their quarterback play, regardless of who it is, and their defense, especially against the run, was abysmal last year. Arkansas, the 7th-ranked rushing attack in the nation, will run all over the Tigers once again. And with that, guys, Arkansas, we have finishing 9-3, which will be their most regular season wins, I guess, since last year, but also since 2011 again. Arkansas continues to trend in the right direction under Sam Pittman. He's doing it the right way. He's bringing in his guys, and a 9-3 record, a potential second-place finish in the SEC West. Arkansas, guys, they're the real deal. And one upset over Alabama, one win over BYU. Well, a couple of these games, all those games that we had predicted as losses are winnable for Arkansas. I wholeheartedly believe that. The Hogs guys are absolutely not just a dark horse candidate to win the SEC, but they're a dark horse candidate to make the college football playoffs. So turn that damn jukebox on because the Hogs are coming. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Make sure to check those out and sign up for those today. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the country. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.